Hello, this message is for 0ddecka. We're recording the readings for tonight because we're having a bit of a choppy internet connection in the middle of the choppy sea. And we're just going to go ahead and get started. We read a little bit at the very beginning that this might not be a complete message, that there might be other sources for this message beyond tarot. Tarot might not be able to exactly... And the question is a little bit about kind of the burnout area. So Four of Cups makes a lot of sense to me here. It's kind of like having, the gas tank is low. There's a lot on the to-do list. There's a lot of things to get done. And where do we go from here? So the first message, of course, is that tarot will be able to give us a little bit of insight, and there will probably be other places that tarot can't touch. Like there's legal advice, medical advice, all kinds of stuff that tarot really can't. We can't do that because we're not licensed to do those things in these readings. So there might be a little bit of an advice to make sure you're seeing a doctor and, make sure you're adhering to the laws and everything when you do this, whatever's suggested here. Four of Cups really is that feeling of kind of not wanting to take anything else on. It's having... now it looks to me like an oil spill. It kind of looks to me like... oftentimes, like in Rider-Waite, Four of Cups is somebody sitting there with their arms crossed. They've got 3 cups already. They're fine with what they've got, and they don't want to take any more. Sometimes people see like a sulking person. They're like, I don't want it. Because it's somebody who's maybe stuck in a mindset based on their past experiences. They might have an assumption of what the next experience is going to be like. We've been getting a little bit of that lately in the past couple of spreads. So I would say that there's an element of that. But what really gets me about this one is it's like an oil spill. We're not questioning whether or not these past experiences have been kind of a lot, or excessive, or they've spilled over into other areas of your life. There's something about what you've experienced so far. There's something of it, almost feels like there's a leak or something that as you're taking on more, it's starting to leak into other areas, maybe of your life, or maybe there's something of an emotional experience of taking on too much, and it just kind of like everything just starts leaking into everything else. And maybe an example would be like, if you take on one more task, you might be in the middle of trying to do the other task, and you're starting to talk about the new task, and it's all going to leak together, and you might want to keep things a bit separate, and it's kind of hard to do that when we're in this state where we're oversaturated. There's too much going on. It's hard to keep things curated at this point. And so Four of Cups sometimes is that kind of moment we need to stop taking on anything else until we've kind of feel a little bit more comfortable in our ability to maintain what we already have. So there's something of a fairness in Four of Cups as well. The fours are those moments of rest, where we kind of take a look at what we have and see if we can't make it work before we take on anything else. I mean, the whole thing is, though, there's the irony of it. There's water here. I'm getting a lot out of this Four of Cups. There's water here, and it like, hands down, it's an oil spill. There's something. It's a leaking thing. It's things are leaking out. The resting and not taking on too much more. You said something about procrastinating, and that makes a lot of sense. It's like what feels like procrastinating sometimes is saying, I don't want to take anything else on because I've kind of got a lot going on right now, and it's actually it's like an oil spill. Meanwhile, the next thing looks to be like some water, and I don't know how you're supposed to clean up an oil spill, but maybe a little bit of water would help, Maybe the next thing that you take on could be something that helps clear up this spilling or this kind of leaking. I don't know. There's just a sense of something coming in and it's pure, and not wanting to mix it with what maybe feels impure at this time. And I don't want to say that your experience is impure. It's just that that's maybe the way it feels right now. And not wanting to take anything else on is not wanting to involve anything else in this kind of spilling effect. Fair enough, you know, like not, you shouldn't, but more, it's an understandable feeling. What else do we get here? Just as I said that, I got a bit of a pain in my right side. I've been struggling with that a little bit lately, but it just kind of suddenly happened right when I said that. So there's the Ace of Cups. Look at that. Peace. We got that message. Peace. Hope somebody brought soap. Water and oil don't mix. So you get soap going, eh? The Seven of Swords. Ooh. Okay. Stealing peace. Just taking it. I think it might be like an object that's hanging off of something that's like every time the boat shakes. Because I really don't feel like somebody has been hammering for an hour. It's a safe hiding place to steal some peace. Interesting. Okay, so as I look at these cards and I'm just shuffling a little bit more, oh cool, 333. I'm just seeing something new, like as I'm reflecting a little bit. There's like something to be said for there's an experience of the leaking or what's being experienced right now, and there's like something that's being offered might actually be that opportunity to steal a little bit of peace. That opportunity to procrastinate. Procrastination in your case, we might be getting something where it's just an opportunity, reaching for an opportunity to take a little bit of peace in a situation that's quite chaotic or blended or hard to digest or hard to kind of put together. And like there's this kind of during an oil spill, it's like we want to clean it up, and it can be really kind of comforting in that moment to just take some time, to steal some time away from it. That's what's really there. Something a little bit more pure, something that feels a little bit simpler, a curated experience for yourself. We keep getting that curated kind of thing. I can resonate with that, you know, Decka. I can resonate with the idea that it's time to just, sometimes it's great to just take a time out. But how to get through it without without constantly having your sights focused on the oil spill that's going on in the other areas. Four of Wands. Oh, wow. I like this a lot. Four of Wands is like, that's what it is to be home. It's almost like creating a home base where you can steal a little bit of peace, and then you can go to work on this oil spill when you've had a chance to recharge, to warm up, to feel a little bit of peace. There's something like, I get that charging the batteries thing myself, like where I've got to like take some time out to charge the batteries, like, and I can feel kind of guilty sometimes when I take time to myself to just do what I need to do to, it's not that I'm not being productive, it's just I'm not doing all the things that, you know, are going on right now. I take some time away and I just disappear for a little while and I just do my own thing. That might be what's going on here. I'm resonating with this big time. So your reading's got something to do with maybe we're similar that way. You and I, we need that kind of like, that's a home base. It's a safety of a home base. There's a nest here. And it might feel like you're stealing time away from much more important things, much more pertinent things, or things that need immediate attention. It's just how effective are we going to be paying attention to all this spilling stuff when we haven't had that baseline experience of peace in a while? It's almost like this is what we're going for. And we have to remind ourselves quite often, of what it is that we're going for, because we can get caught up in the oil spill and everything can kind of get that twin tinge of oil in it. Like you say, oil and water don't mix, and the peace doesn't mix with this chaos too well, and we can lose sight of what it is to have that. What's the goal here? The goal is to get to this place. Well, humans aren't limitless sources of energy. It's actually better for your overall progress to avoid burnout. Yeah. Slow but steady versus fast but very short-lived. Yep. Well, I feel like there's a place for both those things too. 7 of Wands here and the 5 of Wands. Okay. Ooh. And you're saying home, but I feel guilty about right. Seven of Wands. I have you kind of putting up resistance to this kind of this offer. There's an opportunity that's being offered to you to just take a little bit of peace for the day. And I have you putting up resistance to that. And there's something of a 5 of Wands is that it's met with resistance. Your resistance is met with an equal amount of resistance. Like, there's this might be an internal thing, and we might have to kind of like skate lightly across this because it's maybe a little bit of, spiritual stuff. It's maybe a little bit of mental health stuff. And we can only speak to so much with tarot cards. It seems like it's relentless. This 5 of Wands is kind of telling me, like, you could kind of put up some resistance. You can resist this urge that you might have to take some time out and to just experience a little peace, a little bit of peace, maybe even every day. But your resistance is going to be met with an equal amount of resistance, and just almost as if the more you resist it, the more it persists. The more that you resist this urge to find a quiet spot to be yourself and do the things you need to do, just experience peace in whatever way you experience it, the more you resist it, the more it persists. And your resistance, your willpower might be a bit stronger than this need for peace. So you got to be careful with that, because you do have the opportunity to take yourself away from the things that maybe you need. Because your willpower seems to be very strong. And we talk about your Aries, right? So you've got that kind of like fiery will about you. Yeah, maybe that's the guilt, as you say in the chat. Yeah. I wonder what goes beyond that, though. It's almost like this is kind of seems like a very relatable situation, 0ddecka. Like, I'd like to say that I assume everyone has been in this position. So I'm happy that you brought this to the table for us all to kind of reflect a little bit on what it is to resist what we need. 6 of Swords at sea. Migration. Migraines? That might be, see, that might be where I can't go, but there might be something about migraines. I believe that you're hot on the trail, 0ddecka, with what you just said there. 0ddecka just typed in the chat, maybe I should make an intentional habit of doing nothing. That seems hot on the trail. Yeah, I feel like, okay, so willpower seems to be trying to take you to a place that bypasses this need for quiet peace, nothingness, as you say, or just that, whatever it is that brings you that sense. It's like stealing a little, you know what, like, it almost bothers me that it's a 7 of Swords, that you're having to steal that peace away from things. It's maybe unfortunate that you're in a situation now where the things that you experience on a regular basis aren't necessarily very peaceful, or maybe it doesn't bring you those things. So like you almost have to separate yourself from certain things in order to experience that peace that you would need, that kind of sense of feeling comfortable in your own home, that kind of thing. And So it already seems kind of like unfortunate. I kind of go like, oh, I wish that wasn't the case, you know. I wish that you could find those things in the things that you're doing out here. That would be ideal, wouldn't it? You know, of course, that's just a thought. And I'm not saying that you've done anything wrong. Sometimes it's just, this is the way things are, and what are you going to do? When you're in the middle of something where it's the experience of being in the midst of it isn't peaceful for you, I mean, you might feel guilty that you're having to steal moments of peace for yourself at the same time. This is kind of like somebody who needs to step outside and just take a breath of fresh air, go for a walk, do something, get out of here for a minute and just go and hang out and do your own thing for a minute, just recharge. Now, there's something about resisting it by trying to bypass this need for peace. It just kind of, this Fool card tells us exactly what's about to happen. It's almost like we're getting a little bit of a picture of this is how the guilt is born about having to take your peace from things. Maybe over here I was kind of being guided to explore this Four of Cups in my kind of sense of, oh, I wish you had it here. I wish you could find the peace in the things that you end up stepping away from. And I go like, oh, I wish you had that. And then there might be an opportunity here to find a bit of guilt that you haven't created these things in such a way where it's a peaceful experience for you. But I'd like to say that I think this is more of a circumstance. I don't think there's any commentary on how this was created or what should have been done differently or anything like that. And as much as we try to there's something about trying to bypass the need for this escape just takes you further into the stealing part. And that's the part where I went, oh, it's too bad that you have to steal that away. And this is where the guilt is right here. It's in the having to steal it away. It's down on yourself is basically what we've got, you know, kind of stepping into being down on yourself for taking something that is very reasonable to need. Taking time for yourself to recharge, or taking time just for nothing, to be okay with nothing happening right now, that kind of thing. Ria, thank you so much for that. You've raided on a night. Thank you for the raid. You raided on a night where we've got, well, it's a night for me, but it's 4:44. Do you know you raided at 4:44 p.m. Eastern time? We've got kind of an unstable connection, so the picture quality might be a bit lower, and I'm recording all these readings, so we can go on the YouTube channel to check them out if you miss any parts. Thanks for coming by, everybody. We're on a boat today. It just takes you right back into it. It's almost like it doesn't bypass the need for peace. It bypasses the guilt. It puts it somewhere else other than, I was going, oh, and I see that there might be room for okay, well, maybe I should have, or maybe I wish that things were different here, turns into guilt for having to step away. It's almost like we're getting just a little, this is how it's born kind of thing, and what are we going to do about it? And maybe there's an intervention somewhere in here. High Priestess. Okay. A lot of things happen, a lot of things spill together, energy all comes together. So High Priestess, and Ria's here. Thank you for the raid again, Ria, and shout out to Ria, of course. Click on Ria's name, and once my hands are free, I'll type in a shout out. Scorpio, if you're here, could you type a shout out to Ria? But so a lot of people have just come in, and that could be a lot of energy is spilling in together. And we could kind of say that, we've kind of created something more now. And is that what we had before the raid came in? No offense to the raid. We love the raid. And welcome to everybody who came in. But this is kind of maybe a more neutral example of it. And that's kind of what this High Priestess is telling me. Just focus on what just happened in terms of an intuitive kind of exercise just happened right before our eyes, that Rhea came in and changed the dynamic in here a little bit in terms of who's listening and who's paying attention and who's kind of contributing their flow of energy, or the way that they flow energy to the reading. As much as, like, it's very valid to want to go to a place where we're a lot quieter and things are a lot more peaceful, which is right here. It's very valid, 0ddecka, in your circumstance to kind of like take that time that you need to recharge. So we're not going to invalidate that, but we are going to say something with this example that Rhea just gave us a read. There is a little something about, well, trying to bypass and take that peace even though this stuff has happened, you know, and then we end up feeling guilty about it later. It's almost as if I was to say to Rhea, like, okay, thanks for the raid, but we were kind of in the middle of something, so everybody who came in, get out. Now, I'm not going to say that to anybody, but to preserve my peace. It would be a little something, wouldn't it, for me to reject all this new energy that's come in. And when it's something a bit more neutral, I start to kind of feel a little bit more imaginative about what this Fool means. It's kind of like to go back to the idea of maybe not finding peace in this area. I don't know, maybe we can. Maybe there is peace to be taken in these things as well. Like, as much as it's valid to step away when you're feeling overwhelmed with things all spilling together and needing to regroup, there's also something to how cool it is when unexpected things happen. When unexpected things force us to change, and quicker than we're able to contain our feelings about it. There's something exciting. That's where excitement is born. And so the Seven of Wands is kind of that willpower. And what became a resistance, like if we try to resist taking that peace, if we try to resist taking that peace, our peace is going to fight right back, you know? But our willpower is going to plow through for the most part. We are going to be able to kind of get through this to a certain extent. So there's something almost promising in here. If we take away, if we kind of abandon, if we kind of get out of, and like, of course, if you have a headache or something, you got to get out of there, you know? It's too loud or whatever. You got to get out of there, hands down. But if it's like, if we're bypassing anyway, if we're bypassing to an extent where we're going to feel guilty down the road anyway, what about bypassing this process for finding peace and taking a chance that maybe there's peace to be found over here? If it feels right. Like, I feel like I can't really tell you that the stuff that you have to do today, tomorrow, the next day, I can't really tell you that those things are things you should be doing anyway. If you're feeling like you need to step away, of course. At the same time, there is something for a little bit of a fun, entertaining a fun thought. Six of Swords. This is a thought, but it's a fun thought because it's the Fools and the Six of Swords. It's abandoning that technique and letting yourself go to a fun thought that maybe there's something actually really peaceful still available here, and sticking it out for a little while, or maybe it's okay to experience a bit of chaos for a little bit. Maybe there's something fun that's about to happen. Maybe somebody just came into this room here and they're going to tell us something, or we're going to read about their energy a little bit and it's going to tell us something amazing. It's almost like there's a bit of a fear in here that we haven't really addressed in the cards. Defensiveness or this kind of like Seven of Wands is kind of putting up a defense, suggests maybe a bit of fear, but there's something really kind of right away not wanting to add anything more. There is gotta be a bit of fear, you know. What is the fear? You know, not wanting to, you know, mess something up. And that's what we're going to read about right now. Oh, there it is. The Ace of Swords. Look at that. Oh, can I express this? what we're being asked to do is to just consider, maybe in a moment where you might be feeling guilty for taking some time out and procrastinating a little bit, maybe you're right. Maybe you should go back to doing those things. Maybe there's something actually pretty amazing that's about to happen if you do go out and you do go get those things done. And maybe what the fear is that fear of of knowing, there's a sense of certainty. Sometimes when we take time away, I need time out, I need, this is too much, I'm overwhelmed. And of course you have to use your discretion, and tarot isn't going to be able to tell you what to do, but we're carving out a bit of space here for not knowing what's about to happen. You actually don't know whether or not something's going to be overwhelming if you leave it before you've experienced it. Maybe a way to give yourself a little bit more certainty, Ace of Swords, in that need to take away space, is to hold space for the idea that something fun and awesome and exciting might be happening here. It's that fear of missing out thing. Induce a little fear of missing out in yourself, and that will really help you to navigate which way you're supposed to be going. Are you supposed to be actually taking time out? Or if you miss something here, are you going to be okay with that? Maybe you don't want to take time away from it. Maybe you do want to do this stuff. What comes at the end of this? What if it's something that, maybe it's almost like encouraging you to think forward to both scenarios a little bit. Entertain the idea if you don't do it, if you do it. And if you don't do it, you have to admit you don't know what's going to happen if you do it. And there's something of keeping yourself even, curating your experience a little bit, of stepping away or procrastinating even. That experience of being someone who is currently procrastinating, there may be a way to kind of step away from guilting yourself about it or feeling guilty about it. Use your time wisely. Use your time to ask yourself some important questions, I think is maybe what it's saying. But I don't know, again, the cards I don't think are giving us the full story of what's happening. And I got that word migraine, so let's just kind of leave it there and trust that you're going to take this message out of it what you need, and the rest will go to a different source for answers. So I'm going to stop recording, and we'll keep streaming. To be hopeful, right? Yeah. That's something, maybe there is peace at the grocery store. Maybe there's something really cool at the grocery store waiting for you. Maybe it's even a psychic prediction or a message that exists in the receipt, the numbers that come up in your receipt. Thanks so much for watching the YouTube recording here, and stick around if you want to look for more. There's more on the channel. Thanks so much. Bye.